Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. So happy to have y'all in here. We have Milena. She got me to say it right? Yes.
Well done.
This is the hardest part of the podcast for me, is getting people's names right, because I don't want to disrespect them. Guys, she's here today to talk about hustle, her favorite word. She loves to hustle. She loves to work her face off. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to talk about the opposite. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
She's hanging in there, guys. She's playing her today. We appreciate it. Guys, she will suggest that you warm up before you start swinging kettlebells around.
Especially heavyweight kettlebells. Definitely warm up. Don't do it at the end of the day when you've been working all day and then you decide to get a workout in and you jump right in with the heaviest kettlebell you own. It kind of, it's kind of like, that reminds me of working, really.
Mm-hmm.
When you jump in and you go full on without warming up, you end up hurt. That's kind of
it's. I love that analogy, because basically what you're doing is you're not putting yourself first. You're not priming yourself. You're just, this is 2 weeks ago. I spent some time for the first time in 3 years with my best friends from high school, and I can't stand their jobs. Like, I can't. They all work in corporate. They're all bosses, and like, he was working up to the golf course. Like, he was working, like, because
he didn't work on the golf course.
No, he actually didn't. Thank goodness. But he finished what he was doing. But his analyst dropped the ball while he was on vacation, and he was working like 4 a.m. every morning, getting like 2 hours of sleep. And it drives me crazy that is the strain that corporate America puts on people, that I wouldn't say they expect it, because they're not outwardly expecting it, but that is where we are in society, and that's what you preach, and it's what you're about. And so what I like to do with my guests is kind of let them share their story, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Did you say the analyst dropped the ball while he was on vacation?
Yes. And basically just said tough cookies.
Isn't that kind of expected? Normal, as it should be?
Truth. Yeah.
I mean, that's what vacations are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my story, to keep it fairly short here, is, I used to hustle a lot. And originally from Bulgaria, that's where the accent is from. And when I'm hurt, the accent shows up even more so. So yeah, that's what happens. But came to America to chase the American dream and get an MBA in international marketing in San Diego, and then get into a marketing career, which was my dream. Love marketing, always been intrigued by it. And got going with that. I worked for a media company before the .com, way before the .com, when I started their internet division and had to explain to people how to spell Google at parties, and told them that it's a great search engine. So definitely dating myself. But yeah, I've been dealing with internet marketing, online marketing since 96, 97. I remember presenting to a room full of people on the potential of internet marketing back then, when they were just putting, 5%, 7% of their budgets to online. And look at what the pandemic did. All of a sudden, overnight success, everybody's online. So,
yeah.
So then after working for the media company, I worked for a ski resort for 10 years, got paid to ski. It was a great job. But at some point in time, I kind of got done dealing with the bureaucracy and the paperwork. And I wasn't really able to really perform as a marketing director, because it was a quasi-government agency. So I decided social media was really picking up, and I decided to start my own digital marketing agency, and it did really, really well. I had phenomenal clients. I worked with some celebrities like Madonna and Steve Nash. I worked with a lot of brands in the wellness and travel and tourism, the Ritz, Squaw Valley, UFC Gym. I got a team of people around me, a lot of millennials and Gen Zers. And I ended up managing a lot of managing and training and doing project management. I ended up working 18-hour days, following Gary Vee's formula for success, which is work all the time. Mm-hmm. My health started to deteriorate. My husband wasn't happy because I was working all the time. I was never present with him. I lost all my friends because I never had time for my friends. And, success on the outside showed pretty empty on the inside, actually. So I decided it's time to do something drastically different. Ended up going to Mexico, to a small fishing village for 10 days to finally get a little vacation in after 3 years of working. It turned out a digital detox trip by default because there was just no internet in town. And during that time, I was decided to learn how to kiteboard. And as I was floating in the ocean, it came to me that there's more to life than working. And what am I doing with my life? My parents both passed away early from health issues, and I did not want to follow their footsteps. So I decided that I have to change my life around. Came back to the US and started to make changes slowly. It wasn't overnight, but dissolved the company. I went back to freelancing. The team went on their own paths, got rid of the office. And then one thing led to another. We started spending 4 or 5 months out of the year in Mexico, living in our Airstream, working from the Airstream while kiteboarding in the afternoon and walking barefoot to the beach, and got my health back. And I was making more money, working way less hours. I ended up signing up with the Human Potential Coaching Institute, where I train in biohacking, mindfulness, a lot of mindfulness practices in there, and just kind of upgrading my own mind and body. And during that program, I had this clarity of, I have a bigger purpose in the world than to just do marketing. So I wanted to start something to inspire people to actually live their full life as opposed to being a slave to their business, while still getting the financial freedom and abundance they need to manage their lifestyle. And so Hustle was born.
Obviously they can listen to social media and they can listen to their parents, but where do you think the disconnect is with people? I don't understand why they feel the need to put in these. Look, I work just like everybody else does. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays are my busy days. And then I kind of slide off in the week. And I've learned that works for me. Where do you think the disconnect in society is where people feel like they need to work this hard?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we can just focus on that question for the rest of the conversation. But really, there's a couple of things that show up for me when I started doing all my research. See, I wanted to prove to myself that I'm not crazy, and I'm just not the only one out there saying, oh, you can work less and make more. Because that a lot of people look at that and like, there's no way, right? And so I had to dig into the research and the studies and the data and the psychology behind all of this and the history behind all of this. And so if you start looking at why do we even work 40-hour days, where does this come from, right? Well, it comes from the Industrial Revolution, from Henry Ford, from where he decided that it was actually more beneficial for him to put people on 3 shifts during the day and give people more leisure time so they can have the time and have the money to buy his cars. And now all of a sudden, 100 years later, we're following the same norm, but we're no longer going to factories. We're no longer putting our gray suits and going to work on a factory line. We're using our brains. And the science for all of us who use our brains says that you can't push your brain more than 3 hours in a very highly focused, productive state. So let's double that. Let's say it's 6 hours. We spend a lot of our time in the non-busy work, in the emails, in notifications, in the Slacks, in the WhatsApps, in the Facebook. So we're dealing with a lot of distractions. But back to where does it come from? Our culture, especially in Western world, values success in the way of money and titles and fame. And now remember, I came to this country to pursue a better lifestyle. My parents sold a house in Bulgaria, gave me all the money they had from that house, which was $11,431, and said, that's all we can do. Good luck. It was a lot of money. I ripped through the money in 6 months. So I had to, put myself through my master's degree, doing 8 jobs at the same time. So I value money a lot, and there's nothing wrong with making money. But the way we're making it is wrong. And not only that, but at some point in time, science shows that if you're making over, let's say, $100,000 a year, you're not really that much happier, but your stress level increases unless you're like donating your money. So there's some kind of a balance ratio there.
Well, what's interesting to me is I think we've screwed up that we think time in work matters more than being effective. And one of the things we talk about all the time is being potent with your time, like working and being effective. And there's a lot of people out there, mentors that I look up to, that believe if you can't get everything done that you need to in a concentrated 4 or 5 hours a day, then you're not focused. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's what it comes down to. And so we skew our priorities. Instead of focusing on, 3 or 4 things every day, we focus on 20. And then we scatter our energy, we scatter our focus, and then we end up not doing anything. And then we end up feeling not fulfilled at the end of the day. So you keep working. So there's a lot of expectations coming into the play. There's, your ego that comes into the play. And it's like, oh, well, comparisons, right? The whole social media, what are my neighbors doing? What are my friends doing? So when you're not grounded in your values and you're not connected with a purpose and you're not focusing your efforts, you end up just being scattered. And a lot of the technology, using all the technology is great for a lot of things, but at the same time, it adds to that scatteredness, that shiny object that, oh, look at what he's doing, she's doing, right? So, and then you have workaholism, which a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from. We love what we do, right? We love what we do. We find joy in it. And so we end up sacrificing your health, your exercise, your relationships, because you put them on a lower level of importance than the success of your business, because it becomes your identity.
I said this all last year, and I stand behind it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. What COVID exposed was that the true vice in America isn't alcohol, isn't Netflix, isn't thing, it's work. And for the
work
first...
You're absolutely right. Work is the 5th leading cause of death in America.
Yep. Mm-hmm. To obtain something that you think is going to give you the fulfillment, when there's a guy out of Kansas City who's a big multifamily investor, and he closed on $130 million worth of real estate last year. And his entire plan this year, he's got a podcast called Compression. And his entire goal is to close on $100 million worth of real estate, working less time. And he's tracking everything. And I love that, because when you create this space and you like, perfect example, I have a call at 4 today where I'm going to talk about networking and entrepreneurship. Pick 5 people that you want to meet this week. And then once you meet those people, you're done networking for the week. Plan. Like, you don't need to meet 30 people this week. You can meet 2 people a week for the next 30 years. Like, that sounds like a way better plan to me than trying to meet 60 people in 1 week.
Well, you can meet one person that would really change the way you think, the way you do your business, the way you go through life. I mean, who says it should be 60 people? We put all this stress and expectations on ourselves. Really, it's an internal game, right? It's a mindset thing. And it's hard to get out of it when everybody else around you is swimming upstream and you're trying to swim downstream. That's why I say on Hustle is a counterintuitive. It's a revolutionary approach to look at how we live and how we work. It's a lot more productive. It's a lot more creative. It's a lot healthier. It's a lot more fulfilling. But a lot of people don't get it, because when they think on hustle, they think, oh, I'm going to take care of my health and I've got to slow down. and I'm gonna chill. And what they don't understand is that it actually, you need all of these things to do high impact work.
Do you know how many coaching clients have come to me and said, I can't work on myself because it's going to hurt my business?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have it backwards. It's actually going to 10x your business by you working on yourself. You have it all flipped around.
Well, look at what is the biggest issue for entrepreneurs. What's the absolute biggest issue is mindset. It's dealing with fear. It's dealing with resistance. It's not being creative enough. It's not being different enough. So you end up competing with what everybody else is doing. You don't get any one of these things by sitting on your computer working. You get them by going out, climbing a mountain, sailing an ocean. You get it by, I just went with my husband. It was so funny this last Easter. Yeah. So on Sunday, we said, let's go take the dog for a walk. And I'm thinking, it's just a normal walk. I'm going to put my spring running shoes on, and I live in Lake Tahoe, so we still have a ton of snow. And we started to drive to a place where I quickly realized that it's going to be really, really busy because it's Tahoe and a lot of people are here right now ever since COVID started, but even before that. So we decided, okay, let's go to this hike that we normally go to, and it's in the back of a mountain. And I said to my husband, if there's a lot of snow there, I don't want to deal with it. And of course, we get out of the car and we're sinking up to our hips in snow. And I could have gotten really easily, really pissed off and angry with him and get into a fight. But I chose to practice my mindfulness. We ended up finding a bottle of champagne on the way up the mountain on Easter. What are the chances of that? And then I pointed to a little hill because I know he needs goals. I was like, let's just go up to that little hill up there and we'll drink the champagne and we'll come back. We ended up having a great time, right? But it teaches you something. It teaches you, you end up learning about yourself and how you deal with situations like this, and gives you the courage to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. You don't get this stuff from checking emails.
The number one thing that I'm working on, and it's the last 2 years for me, is emotional stability. I'm a very energetic guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it doesn't serve you in very large real estate deals to be over emotional. And if I didn't put myself in uncomfortable positions and real estate deals and all these things, then I wouldn't create the space necessary for me to work and fix and change and everything. Reading a book, which I read a lot, but like constantly reading and constantly taking information is not going to do anything. You have to put your hand in the fire pretty much per se. And it served me because I'm not perfect, but I'm way better than I was. And one of the things, it's so funny that you mentioned that story, because I'm the guy like let's not let's not, like, especially when we're traveling, like, I don't want to go there. Every time we just like say screw it and we go, we have like this amazing experience. Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh my God, we would have never saw this if we didn't do this. Right.
Right. Yeah. We ended up having a snowball fight and we laughed and it was outside in nature and we all had fun. So much fun that I ended up doing a little video. I mean, we were literally sinking up to our hips in snow and we were exhausted, right? And we came back. My husband took a nap. I ended up working on my own hustle merchandise store because I just had this full blast of creativity in me while we were outside in nature. So back to you, though, on your emotional stability. How do you work on that? What do you do?
I have studied a lot of the Stoic philosophy and kind of, I'm trying to understand that the triggers of why I'm getting emotional are for past reasons of why something didn't work. It has nothing to do with what's happening here. And I guess just over time, being in these situations over and over again, have created more of a neutral way of thinking. And so because of that, I just had this conversation with myself, like it's not needed. Like, focus on here. Like, what I'm also doing is I have a lot of stuff going on and I have a lot of stuff that I'm excited about, but I realize that not everybody needs to hear all the things that are going on. Like, what serves this conversation? Let's talk about that one thing and then move on. Yeah. And something I've taken, and I'll be honest with you, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because it's not my thing. But journaling, 16 days in a row, I'm loving it. Like, I feel like I'm writing a letter to myself every day, and it just feels like I'm getting some stuff out. And I haven't gone and looked at it yet, but I will soon. And I'm so excited about what's going to be in there over the years and months to come.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, journaling is such a powerful practice. It's a very, again, science proven, only 4 days of journaling, 20 minutes a day. You could put yourself in a better mood, positive mindset, release stress, all of these things. So good for you. Do you have some kind of a meditation or mindfulness practice?
Same thing, 16 days in a row. I'm on 5 minutes right now. And it's, as my buddy said from Spain, he doesn't even call it meditation. It's shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up for 5 minutes. So we got 5 in. I'm gonna take it to like 7, and I'm gonna keep extending. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. I read, I do the meditation, and then I journal, and then I go out for my 45-minute walk. And I need to start doing it at night too. I'm feeling there's a lot going on right now, and I feel like more in control.
Yeah, because that was the one thing that really flipped the switch for me when I was in that hustle mindset to get more intentional and more just have an easier time to deal with stress was I did a mindfulness based stress reduction training with John Kabat-Zinn. And it was 20 minutes a day, every day. And it was like somebody flipped the switch in my brain when I was doing it. It was just all of a sudden it's not just the meditation necessarily part, but it's how you go through your days.
Yeah.
From a lot less reactive, less stressed out mode.
Well, as a perfect example, I'm dealing with something right now, like a deal, and you're just like, fuck, I don't want to be dealing with this, but I'm going to control what I can control. And
that's how
the rest of the stuff I know, but people don't, entrepreneurs especially, don't feel that way because this sale didn't happen or this didn't think, okay, well, great. Well, maybe you're open up for an opportunity that you didn't even know was coming. Like, right. And we have to create this abundant mentality and move away from the victim mentality. And what I wanted to talk to you about is from your training and kind of what y'all preach. Let's get real tactical for a reason. Anybody that's feeling stuck, anybody that's kind of this conversation is resonating with them, how do they go about? Because this is not an easy process for me. This has been a 2-year odyssey, and we still a long way. But every day working on it, how do they go about shifting the narrative?
Yeah, it's a great. Let's get into it. Some tactical things. So the one thing that I can tell you what helped me. And then we can talk about what biology, right? Neuroscience and biology, how to make biology work for you instead of against you. Because what works for me may not work for you. But what worked for me was actually taking a little bit of time in the morning, like you just mentioned. And I call it the Unhustle morning rituals. I don't preach getting up at 5 a.m. Because I preach of working with your biology, like knowing your chronotype, knowing when you're most effective, most efficient. I don't even use an alarm clock to wake up. I leave my body determined. But then I have these Unhustle morning rituals that I've dubbed like the sunrise method, which are really, really important to me. And I choose from them based on how I feel. So I don't do all of them as a routine. But basically the rituals that I've studied and again, based on science, are the S stands for sleep. And so in the morning, you use the sunlight or daylight to change your melatonin so you can actually improve your sleep. So that's the S. U stands for unplugging or starting your day without your phone, because the minute you check your emails, news, messages, it puts you in a reactive mode. It puts you you get stressed out. So then you can't think of your priorities and you can't actually get any work done with more of a clear mind. N stands for spending time in nature. So I heard you say you're going for a walk outside, and in that time, you can practice a little bit of mindfulness or gratitude or whatever it is. Just being with your thoughts is how you change the narrative, how you talk to yourself about what's important. Changing your stinking thinking is kind of the idea for that. Just being alone with your thoughts really is the goal there. But nature is such a healing agent in our life that if you live close to nature, it's great to take advantage of it. R stands for reading and writing. So I heard you like journaling or reading something inspirational, even if it's just a page. sunrise. I is for intention, like what are like the 3 things you want to get done today. S is for the stillness. It's your mindfulness meditation practice, gratitude. Maybe if you're not into meditation, mindfulness, just maybe drink your coffee and take 5 minutes. Like you said, shut the fuck up for 5 minutes and just do nothing. Just be with your own thoughts. Just observe your thoughts. 80% of our thoughts are repetitive thoughts. Yep. 90% of them are negative. So you got to rewire your brain. The way to rewire your brain is by getting your body to sit still. And then E is for the energy part. So that's your, whether you do like a quick workout, some movement, cold shower, bulletproof coffee, whatever, to kind of get some energy before you get working. All of these rituals put you in a more of a state of flow and a focused state during the day. So from a biological perspective, working in a neuroscience perspective, how can you change things around is knowing that your brain fires neurons based on information. And so you got to change the information. And that's what it becomes really hard for people. They say, oh, let's say I'm really tired of being on Zoom calls. You're really tired of being on Zoom calls because we're not used to watching a video and especially seeing yourself in a video for that long. So after 30 minutes, attention starts to decline. So hide the self view of your Zoom calls, for example, just real tactical tip. There's a three dots on your screen. So if you click on that, you can do hide self view. Another thing is change. You need a designated place in your house where you're working, because your brain knows that your house is where you sleep and it's a happy place. You play, where you make meals, and all of a sudden we introduce work into this, and your brain's not used to this. So all of a sudden, especially if you're bringing like technology in your bedroom where you sleep, your brain's thinking this is the time for me to work. And so you got to change all of this.
So good. All of that. So good. And more importantly, something that came up, a different kind of caveat, because first of all, before I get into that area, there's a book that I bought for like 40 people. I should have an affiliate link, but what you say when you talk to yourself. And that whole book talks about the synapses of the brain and how to rewire your brain and how to start it with affirmations, and everything starts with a thought. And it's just one of those foundational books that's so important. Coming who I help in the recovery space and all that stuff is, you just kind of have to like replace bad habits with good ones, and it starts in the mental space. But something that's very interesting that you came up when you hit on the word energy is, and I have this habit too, or used to a lot, is that I think that because we have these distractions and because we have all these things happening to us and we're not taking the time in the morning, I don't think that we as a society, meaning the main person, even knows how to show up. Like they don't even know their natural state, because we're so inundated with lights and Netflix and everything. And so their identity is wrapped up into how somebody else views them. And I think that's a bigger issue than people understand, because if you don't know who you truly are, if you haven't spent time in nature, if you haven't spent time disconnected, then you're going to operate in that elevated anxiety state, because you're not living in your truths. And that's the massive disconnect in identity and what we're doing. And that's really what fuels the anxiety within inside people.
Exactly. So a really good journaling prompt for that is to ask yourself, who are you without the doing?
Man, that's so powerful. Because we had a guy on our other podcast, and he said, I want to ask you a question. If it wasn't on Instagram, like, would you go to the gym? Like, what? Like, do you go to the gym for social pressure, or do you work out because you actually want to work out? And it's one of those questions that if you sit with it, it's a really important question. And it really took me back, and it made me sit like, am I getting healthy? Is it just for me? Do I train for Ironmans? Is it just for me, or is it for the accolations? And I think we can look at that in many aspects of life.
Yeah, which reminds me, a really good way to rephrase how you're going through life, or change your thinking is, so let's say replacing I have to or I must, which is the masturbations, right? So in psychology, with I choose to.
Mm-hmm.
So in your case, I have to get a workout in.
Yeah.
Or I choose to get a workout in.
I choose to because I need it. Yeah. For myself.
Not even because you need it, because it feels good, or it's playful, or it gives you a break from work. It gives your mind a chance to wander and put all the information you've processed from the day and come up with a brilliant idea. I mean, I now look at my time off as a necessity for my productivity and creativity, but that took me a long way to switch my thinking around, because I used to think, oh, I need to take time off because it's good for me, or I need to take time off. I need a break. Now I'm like, I need to go on a break because I have to come up with a better idea for my book. And that's not going to happen while I'm sitting in front of the computer. And I know it's going to happen up in the mountain. So I'm taking my dog and I'm going out, because I look at it as more of a creative outlet and a productive outlet, as opposed to, oh, it's good for me.
Yeah, that, to me, that conversation that you just had is the ultimate shift. That's the next level. And as I'm thinking about that, I'm playing things over in my mind. Like, that is the game changer. When you realize that you need that time to switch the narrative and then create. What I always do, I think personal development can be too much personal development sometimes. So I get my clients to read Big Magic. It's a great book. I love it. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And it just basically talks about art and creativity. And I think people don't understand that they don't own their art. Like, you don't own your ideas. It's art. It's thoughts out there. It's energy moving through you. And by getting out in nature, you or moving your body or something, you never know what's going to come up. And when I'm in a rut, when I'm in a loop, I have no creative thoughts. And that's when I know I'm off. Like, if I'm not thinking of like some crazy business idea, I know that I got to reset.
Yeah, exactly. And the best place to do that is in nature. I was on a hike last summer and went up to the top of a mountain. No snow this time, but went up to the very, very top of the mountain by myself. I was with my dog, and there was nothing, no connection up there. Mm-hmm. So I sat on this rock, and I couldn't use my phone, right? And I was like, I wonder if I can. All these words started to come to me, and I was thinking, I'm just going to write a poem. I don't write poems. And all of a sudden, this poem comes to me, and I actually had to use my phone to put it in the notes. And it just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. And all of a sudden, I'm like writing this poem. And it's funny because I have a group of people I'm taking through right now on a little kind of hustle mastery, like a mastermind program. And they're one of their challenges for the week was to write a poem. Doesn't matter how long or how short. And one of them just sent me something really beautiful, and I was going, they got into their flow, because it's so we're such creative creatures, and we've completely pushed that down with everything that we're doing. And if you look at entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is in decline. Creativity and innovation are in decline. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at Unhustle and I look at what I'm trying to do with Unhustle, I'm going, we need to save society. We need to save entrepreneurship. We need to save our businesses, because we are falling behind other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All the above. Yes. I just finished a book, Nomad Capitalist, and he helps entrepreneurs retire or move their business overseas. And he was beating the drum of, you egotistical Americans need to understand that you are losing the race, and you're not the country. There are aspects of the country, whether it be business, schooling, whatever it is, that we're not as far ahead as we think we are. In some cases, we're losing. And more importantly, it's because you hit it on the head. The creativity part is lost. Everybody just kind of follows suit. And what I do, and people think I'm this, like, I've said it a couple of times and they're like, what? A lot of times people will quote quotes back to me, and I'll be like, who said that? That's awesome. And they're like, you said that. And I'm like, what? And I feel like, and it happens in my writing and it happens speaking sometimes, I feel like I black out. Like, I don't remember I said it. And I've learned to just go with it. I don't care about the spelling. I don't care about things. I just write. And
so you're in flow.
And I can't stop till I get the thought out. And I've read it back. And I had a guy who knows me real well the other day, and he was asking, what are you going to do in your older part of your life? And I was like, I think it's going to be pretty fucking interesting. I think it's going to be wild. And he's like, I see you as a movie director. And I'm like, what? Like, I've never thought about that. But what's weird, right, is after this last year and after traveling a bunch and kind of refinding myself, I love like photography. Like, I love these things that I know that I'm going to get into heavy. And there's a creative spark inside of me that is really tapped in. And I feel like when I tap into that part of me, I'm a happier person. And when I don't, I'm the opposite. And I don't think people understand the concept that part of why you're upset and pushing so hard is because you've lost your dream somewhere in the midst of this. And you're pushing for something that no longer is yours. And that's why there's no fulfillment.
That's how I got into marketing in the first place. I loved the creative aspect of it. And that's why I had to get out of it, because I lost my creativity. Because all this hustling 24/7, sleeping with my phone, I lost my creativity, which was the very reason my clients were hiring me for, right? And all of a sudden, I was still producing and they were still loving the work, but I knew I had lost it. And I wanted to get out because I need to be creative. So I just watched 2 movies. You're talking about not losing your dream. I just watched 2 movies with 2 amazing athletes that you might have seen. One is with Alex climbing El Cap without a rope.
I haven't watched it yet. My girlfriend's talked about it a bunch. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, if you want to talk about, the guy climbed El Cap without a rope.
I'm going to watch it tonight. So
it's insane. And the other one, just as insane, is about this girl out of Hawaii, Bethany, who lost her arm to a shark attack. Yeah. And then she just crushed it with surfing. So talk about going after your dream and overcoming whatever fear you have along the way to just pursue that. And, I'm all for when I talk about hustle, I'm all for grit. I'm all for hard work. I'm all for meaningful work. There's no question about that. But I hate and I don't stand for this mindless hustling that we've gotten ourselves into that jeopardizes our creativity and performance and well-being. Mental health among entrepreneurs is not a pretty scene.
There's 2 things I'll share, and I'll wrap it in what I give advice to young kids. Just because you can buy the deal doesn't mean you should. and the best deal that you might buy might be the one that you don't buy. And so the same thing, just because you can do the work because you're awake doesn't mean that you should actually be doing the work. Like, mindless work does not really yield it doesn't yield actually what you're looking for. And so before we get out of here, is there any message that you want to share with every entrepreneur that's listening out there?
The only message I want to share with every entrepreneur who's listening out there would be to just ask yourself, what are you hustling for? What's the end goal? And if that fulfills you and that drives you, then by all means keep doing it. But if something's missing in your life, then do the necessary changes to address it before it's too late.
I couldn't agree more. If people want to find out about your mission, what you got going on, how would they do that?
My website is unhustle.com. Pretty simple. You can find all the social media channels and all the programs and everything that I do on it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, make sure you send it to a friend, rate us and review us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.